Oh, God. All right, guys, for the last hour, I just want to go over, I want to complete the different types of positioning. And once we get done that, we'll have all these 4 building blocks, and we'll be nice and covered of all the bases, so we can go into some more fun, complex stuff for the rest of the week and build a lot more sites. So this last hour, we're going to go over positioning. And first off, just a couple housekeeping stuff that I forgot to do. In terms of, in case you missed it, in case you were working on something when we talked about it, the placeholder right here with the input type of text, if you give an attribute of placeholder with a value of whatever you want it to say, basically what this placeholder does is it's a placeholder. So as soon as they start typing, it goes away, and then when the form's empty again, it comes back. So you give them a little call to action there. The other thing is you notice when I click on this, or when I hover over this submit button right here, it doesn't show that there's any like interactivity that can be done. So one way to fix that is to give that submit button. Well, actually, we won't be able to do it from here. We'll give the submit button. Just go ahead and copy this. And whenever it's hovered over, oh, actually, I have it right here. So whenever we have that top input type submit, whenever it's hovered over, we wanted to give it a cursor of pointer. So we'll save that. And now when we hover over it, it shows that it's clickable. Okay, so the first type of positioning we're going to go over, well, first of all, everything that we've done so far, all these types of positioning, every element naturally has a position of static. So all this stuff we've done so far, all these have positions of static. And now we're going to learn about fixed positioning. So what was your GitHub address again? OS. So, for instance, this was great that we saw his site because he has this nice, to return to the top right here. Okay. You ever seen like a site where while you're scrolling, there's like a little circle with an arrow pointing back up to the top as you're scrolling down, but it stays right here in the bottom right the whole time you're on the site? That's because it has fixed positioning. Okay, so we're going to implement that on our site. So just to make it nice and easy, I'll just put it, it doesn't really matter where you put it because it's going to be fixed, but we'll just give it its very own. Let's give it. Well, it's going to have to be an H. It's going to have to be an A tag, and we'll just say href. And actually, for this href, we're just going to give it hashtag or # top. And that's going to link it to this ID up here. That's another benefit of using IDs if you want to link so that when you click on it, it goes directly to the top like his does. We're just going to give it that. We're going to give it that link with an href of the ID top, so it goes back up there. Let's go ahead and give it its own ID of to the top. And let's see if that actually. So naturally, it just is in the middle. I mean, it's in the document down here. It's not within a container, so it's all the way to the left. and it's a link, so it's kind of green. So let's just style it a little bit here. Let's style it here. We're just going to give it a little decent look. We'll say color white, background color 2EC371. Let's give it some padding of 20 pixels. And let's give it a border radius of 'Let's make it nice and circular here. Border radius of 35 pixels. So all that we've covered before, all makes sense, right? Everybody knows what those are doing there. So let's go ahead and just create our own. What did I name that? To the top, right? Thank you, guys. And we're going to plug that in. Make sure it takes us back to the top. Awesome. So if we wanted to scroll along with the site, then all we're going to do is we're going to give it a position of fixed. All right? So a position of fixed, and then anytime you give something a position of fixed, the positioning is relative to the viewport. So what you can see is where it's relative. So we want it to be in this bottom right-hand corner. Okay? So if we want it to be in the very bottom right-hand corner, then we give it attribute of bottom. We'll say 0. And right, we'll say 0. So basically this is saying position it fixed according to the viewport, so it's not going to be down here because the viewport's that rectangle right there, and we want it at the very bottom, and we want it as all the way to the bottom with 0 pixels from the bottom and 0 pixels from the right. So it's all the way to the bottom and all the way to the right. So let's give it a little spacing from the bottom. So let's give it like, say 10 and 10, so it stays right there, all right? So let's go ahead and copy all this. Let's reload the page, and boom. So it's going to stay right there because it's fixed. The position is fixed, so it's not moving at all, and it's all relative to the screen, to the viewport. So it's going to stay 10 pixels from the bottom, 10 pixels from the right at all times. All right, so that's fixed positioning. Another good way to use fixed positioning is sticky headers, right? So you see headers on websites where the header stays at the top the whole time. You've seen that, right? So all we'd have to do is come up here, say, go to that section top. Let's give it a position fixed. Looks a little weird right now. Give me a second. Oh, no, not top. Sorry. That's not the header. The header, give it a position fixed. And then what you're going to have to do is you could give it a width of 100% and a height of, I think it's 60 pixels. I'm sorry. Give it a height of 60 pixels. What you're going to have to do is say top 0, left 0, right 0. And now we just have to give it a background color. All right. So what this is saying is position fixed, give it a height of 50 pixels, put it at the very top of the screen, and then you want it to go all the way from the left to the right. That's this left 0, right 0. And then you give it a background color, and I'm pretty sure, let me make sure before I tell you that, but I'm pretty sure if you didn't do the right 0, you could just say width 100% as well. So if you just want to position it in the top left, all the way to the top, all the way left, and give it a width of 100%, since the parent element of the header is the body, which is a width of 100%, it'll work that way as well. Okay? So, and now when we scroll, you'll see it staying up there. See that? So that's how you do a sticky header. All right? So it's just, excuse me, I feel like that's a good stopping point. And then all we have left next to do is absolute. And I'm going to push this to GitHub. That way you can get your header sticky and that bottom, or that to the top fixed as well. So try to do this. I feel like this is, there's not too many new things in this other than the position. You understand all the padding, all the coloring, everything else I did. So try to do this without cloning it from GitHub if you're up to date other than that. All right?